G'day guys, Sean here from MotoringBox with a bonus video for you guys this week because I've got a few bits and bobs I need to do on my cars this weekend. I've already fixed the door handle on this car, which you would have seen in the previous video. It's a common problem with BAs and also AUs. I don't think it affects FGs onwards. Go and check your door handles if you haven't already, because they are prone to not locking, or sometimes they go the other way and they don't unlock, but it's the same problem either way. So I have a few additional things I want to sort out today, and one of them is this bracket which I purchased. It's an Aeroflow bracket, and that's for holding aftermarket braided hoses on the front of a Barra turbo engine. So I've only got the one braided hose for the oil at the moment, but you can get one to replace the water line as well. So I'm going to see whether I can install this thing and make it hold the stock standard hard line for the water, and then this braided line for the oil. And I may actually spin this around because I don't want branding on my engine either. But I may be able to spin this around and mount it like that and have those sort of brackets on the inside, because that'll align more closely as to where I want those lines to run. I also have some front sway bar bushes and end links to go for this car as well. I've already done the AU, that's got new sway bar bushes and end links, and it really tightened up the front end of this car. This car always had a lot of knocking noises when you're going over sort of offset bumps that make the car sort of sway side to side, which is when the sway bar comes into play. And if the bushes or the end links are shagged, you'll get knocking noises. So if you hit a speed bump square on, you won't hear it, but if you hit anything offset, that's when you'll hear knocks, and it's a sign that your sway bar bushes are cooked. So I replaced the two D bushes on the sway bar and then the end link on each end, and it totally transformed the way this car drove. It just shut everything up, and it really made a huge difference. So this BA XR6 Turbo has a similar problem, so I'm hoping it's going to solve that as well. So yeah, that's the aim for today, guys. Otherwise we can just hang out and have a bit of a chat. You know, let me know your thoughts in the comments below, how you're going, because a lot of the country is actually in lockdown at the moment, and myself included. Brisbane's in lockdown. It is ending today, Sunday, but look, there's going to be restrictions, and it's probably going to happen again because our government is useless. And look, I'm under 40 and I'm still not vaccinated. I cannot go and get vaccinated unless I get a vaccination which they don't recommend for under 40s or under 50s, I think. So it doesn't fill you with a lot of confidence in the system. But look, we're just making do with what we got. The AU Fairmont, as I was just talking about it, it's obviously still here. It's doing daily driver duties for me whenever I can leave the house. I usually leave the house in this car. It is just a star performer. I love this car to death. And I'm actually planning to film a little video, a buyer's guide video on the AU Falcon using this car, obviously. And I was thinking about it, you know, I bought this car over 2 years ago, and I initially bought it as a joke, so I didn't really pay much attention to the overall condition of it. It was fairly well neglected when I went to look at it all those years ago, and I thought, stuff it, look, I'll just buy it and I'll have a bit of fun with it, and then I'll just sell it when I'm done. But yeah, I've sort of grown really attached to this car, and it is pretty amazing when you think about that. It's gone from a car that, yeah, I really didn't care about, and I really hated to spend money on it, and now I just love it. And whenever it needs something done, I just go and buy the part because I love it and I want to fix it. So a lot of people say AU Falcons have an X factor about them that you don't really get unless you own one, and I would tend to agree. I think they are absolutely fantastic cars. It is funny how a car can kind of look pretty average on the outside like these do, but after you own one for a while, you start to appreciate how they look. And I think this car is actually held up really well considering how old it is. So it is funny how they win you over like that after you own one and you drive one, and you sort of learn their personality. And not everyone gets it, but not everyone has to get it. So yeah, that's the plan for today. We'll have a look at this little bracket first for our lines and see how we go. So speaking of cars I don't love so much, this BA Falcon has been a bit of a bastard, really. It is funny how an engine can transform your thoughts about the car. Because this engine is so amazing, the Barra Turbo, it really does change my opinion of this car. I do love this car a hell of a lot because of this engine. If it was just a regular BA XR6, I reckon I probably would have sold it by now, just because of the amount of issues I have with it. But because of the engine, I can forgive it. So yes, I can really understand how people out there can get the shits with BA Falcons, because they are fairly, I don't know, I wouldn't call them unreliable. I'm probably going to have to get that snorkel out again, like I do every single video. God's sake. I should just leave this snorkel out until I've finished working on this car, because yeah, it is really difficult to get out because of that thicker radiator. There we go. Done. I have received some comments from people saying they're getting a bit bored of my content because it is all about the BA Falcon, but the reason for that is I don't have a lot of spare time at the moment. I don't have a lot of money either. So the thing about it is I do want to continue my little build series on this car until we eventually go and get it tuned. Yeah, that's going to be probably a month or two away yet, and there are a few more things I want to do with the car as well. So yeah, I have to unfortunately say to you guys that it is going to be BA Falcon specific for a little while. Might be a few things we can do on the AU in the meantime. So now we can have a look at this. I reckon backwards is still going to be the go. So this bracket has two spots where two lines can run through it, so I'm probably going to try and put the hard line in the top one and then my aftermarket braided line in the bottom one. The interesting thing though is this bracket is actually flat, but the front edge of the Barra here is actually rounded, so I'm guessing all that's going to happen is this bracket's going to bend as it goes on. So this is what we're looking at. There's a little bit of a kink in the line where it goes into the holder. But look, I'm pretty happy with that. I think that's going to do the job just fine. And look, just to jinx myself, I will put the snorkel back in. It is handy to have a nice big wrench on your socket set because they are pretty tight. Once you get them undone though, pretty easy. Sorry if you guys can't see too much when my arm gets in the way. Access in here is pretty tight. So we just got to do what we can. So as with the AU Falcon sway bar bushes that I changed earlier, or a couple of months back, the bushes themselves in here actually looked fine. So I don't know if they're the ones that are at fault. They probably aren't. It might be the end links which somehow wear out and cause the rattle, but it was really strange. You know, when I changed everything out, the stuff I was pulling out looked fine. So much so that when I was doing the work, I was convinced that it wasn't going to solve my knocking problem. But I was amazed when I put everything back together. It was flawless. It just sounded amazing. There was no noise at all. The knock was completely gone. So it is interesting. Hopefully it'll be the same with this car as well. So this is now released. The end link has come out of the mounting point there. So if I just do the same on the other side, this whole bar will be able to lift out as one with the end links attached. So let's go do that now. So guys, if you own a Falcon of any kind from the, well actually pretty much from the 80s upwards, if you have knocking in the front, it's well worth swapping out all of these bushes and end links, just because they are cheap and at the very least it is good preventative maintenance. It may not solve your problem. It may do though, with AU and BA especially, BF as well. But yeah, it's worth doing. So this whole thing is just going to drop down now. And we'll just need to get the end link out of its mounting. There we go. Let's go pull this out on the ground and we'll have a look at it. Alrighty, so here's a look at our sway bar and our replacement end link. We have a replacement D-bush for the driver's side. We have another replacement D-bush for the passenger side with some grease for both of them. We'll show you how to apply that in a sec. And then we have our replacement end link for the passenger side as well. So we'll get it roughly on the same way it came off, same direction rather. Torque these up properly when they're on the car, but for now that'll do. Pretty good. Awesome. Okay, so the D-bushes are the next thing, and these are split from brand new. It's not split from age, that's just how they are. The new ones are actually split as well, you just can't really see it. There you go. So these just need to be put on, and you just need to put some grease on the bar or on the inner surface of this, whichever way, maybe both. And then slip the bush on. Where the bushing previously sat is already clean, but let's just clean the surrounding area as well. I'm just using Armor All tire foam. I love to use this stuff for anything. Look at that, it just works perfectly. So let's make sure both sides are clean. And that is why I use Armor All tire foam. The surface under the bushing is not quite as smooth as some of the other areas. I guess that's just the surface wearing off as the bush has been moving over it. And we're going to try and use roughly half of this grease because we need to use the other half for the other side, obviously. I might go for the bar itself and then try and gently put the bush over the top. Actually, you know what? I'll put a little bit in the bush as well. A bit of lube in the bush goes a long way. Okay, the bush is lubed up. Let's get a bit of lube on the shaft. There we go, that should be pretty good. Cool. It's always good to have a clean shaft. Keeps all parties happy. And I would never hear the end of it in the comments section from you guys if I didn't clean my shaft first. So at least the wear marks on the sway bar here do sort of show you where it needs to go. I'm going a bit overkill, but hey, they gave me that much in the sachet, so I'm going to use it. Let's get in there, split that bush right open. A couple of fingers if you need it. There we go. Should be roughly where it needs to be. Very good. So now we can throw this whole bar back under the car and get it reinstalled. Cool, that one's gone. There we go. Cool. Alright, we'll check the torque on these later. But for now, I'm just doing them up as tight as I can. Alright, we're done. Alright guys, so we are done for today. Time will tell as to how much of a difference the sway bar bushes make on this car, but if it's anything like the AU that I replaced a couple of months ago, then it'll be an absolute game changer, because for all of, say, half an hour worth of work, it made an insane difference as to how smooth that car drove on the road. If not, we'll get the ball joints checked. I don't really know how to check them myself. I think you can with pry bars and things like that, but you need to keep the wheels weighted in order to check it. If you've jacked the car up and the wheels are hanging, then I don't think you can check it properly, but yeah, look, we'll see what happens with that. So yeah, that's about it guys. We've run out of time today. I was hoping to do the rear bump stops as well, but we're out of time. So we'll do that another time. But yeah, in the coming weeks, I've got a few more big things planned, a few more mods on this car. And we are going to be removing the piggyback ECU, which is lurking down there under the dashboard. Returning this thing to stock, sometimes we have to go backwards before we can go forwards. So look forward to that. I hope you're doing really well around the country. Hasn't been easy these days, and some of us have been stuck at home for weeks on end. That can do some pretty bad things for your mental health. So if you are struggling out there, do go and talk to someone, whether it's a family member or a professional. Make sure your head is in the right space. You know, hobbies and working on cars and things like that can certainly help. So when you are stuck at home, try not to focus on the fact that you are stuck in lockdown. Think about what can you do with your time. There's lots of hobbies and stuff you can take up around the house or in the garage, which is where cars come in for me. So if you enjoyed it, please throw me a like. Please consider subscribing if you haven't already. And if you want to support the channel even further, you can hit the join button below, or also sign up on Patreon for a couple of bucks a month. You can get early access to my videos. You can get your name in the credits below if you go for the upper tier. I've got a whole lot of legends supporting me on this journey. Really thankful to have them along for the ride, because this stuff is not cheap. And if it wasn't for a YouTube channel, I probably wouldn't be doing any of it at all. So thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next time.